Hey, HRM, how you doing? Hey, Frank Finnegan, how you guys doing? Merry Christmas to you. Hi, Brian. Simon, good to see you. Uh, how's the sound and everything? Everything working out okay? Merry Christmas to everybody. And every other holiday. Well, we had some light snow this morning, and the lighter the better. Hi, Andrew. The title is reassuring as I have just taken a jog with my dog, but definitely haven't showered. Okay. This is also not only is it unplanned, uncouth, irresponsible, it's also unshowered, Andrew. So you're in good company. There's a super interesting Eterna I am looking at the Eterna Madison. 8 days. Huh. Movement truly unique. Good, I'll take a look at that. Hey, Kevin, you like a big cup too, huh? Hi, Michael. Merry Christmas to you as well. It's about 35 degrees Celsius in sunny Brisbane today. Yeah, you guys, it's sort of like summerish there, and you're at the opposite end. We're about, I think this morning, we're about minus I don't know what Celsius. We were about 7 degrees Fahrenheit, though. It's cold. Hey, Frank. Sorry about that. Let me check and make sure there's nothing. Let me close down a couple things. Quit. I want to close anything down that's taken up. Okay, I'm gonna get over here with my microphone. Calling all cars, something like that. Hi, Goldfinger. Merry Christmas to you. Okay, audio, it just says, Frank, it could be on your end. So anyway, oh, Damon, how you doing, man? Ah, okay. So, um, what do you guys want to talk about today? I keep people always ask me what watch I'm wearing. Well, I'm wearing my Vacheron Constantin Historique American 1921. Ta-da! Hey, Ben S., how you doing? Finnegan. What do you think of watches with super long power reserve, like the long 30? I think it's called that. You know, I- I've got no problem with it. I think the most I have is 8 days with my Hebdo Damara, and it's got a power reserve indicator. And it's sort of nice, really, because I can wind it up and forget it and then come back to it a few days later and wear it. Um, 30 days, yeah, that'd be even better. Wouldn't have to think about it. I don't like to think about, I mean, on watches, I just want to set them and wear them. That's about it. And if they're going for 30 days, I'd have to wind it up on the first day of the month and then do it again the first day of the next month. Watches you're thinking of purchasing in hmm, Okay, that watch, HRM, that sounds very interesting. Are you thinking of getting it? Michael's got a good topic. What watches are you thinking about getting, next year? Hi, Idle Time. Good to see you. Morning coffee, you bet. Hey, Rancher, how you doing? Damon, let's see. Why is flyback chronograph so much more complicated and expensive than a regular chronograph? Okay. Um, because they have to have an added mechanism to fly back. How's that? Anybody else wanna have a shot at that? I see. You got some. I just noticed those emojis. Okay. Alright. What is more expensive to maintain, a flyback chronograph or a holoback? I don't know. Where holoback girl? I don't know. What do you think of watch windows? Oh, watch winders. Boy, I use one. I've got 2 watches that I pretty much keep in my watch winder. They're both automatics, naturally. One is a moon phase, and I just don't like poking around setting and resetting the moon phase. And, but I don't know, something makes me feel uneasy about them. I'm not sure which. I'm probably the wrong guy to ask about that. Some people talk about winders as, "Yeah, you're gonna wreck your watch if you put it in a winder," and other people don't. So I mean, it's a really good question, Kevin, but I'm just not sure about them. Frank, I believe that Salida and La Joux-Perret, I've heard mention of Salida, but I'm not familiar with La Joux-Perret. La Joux-Perret, I can tell you all about them. La Joux-Perret has started off back in the beginning of the 21st century. They were part of what was called Jacquet SA. And Jacquet, Jean-Pierre Jacquet, got involved in this stupid robbery and all of this other kind of stuff. And he had to go to prison. So he was banned from ever doing anything with watchmaking. I heard other kinds of things of he's doing some backroom stuff, but anyway, that was so what happened. The other people who were part of Jacquet, they had an interest in it, and so they didn't want it to just. So what they decided to do is they'd rename it La Joux-Perret. After a while, it was bought by somebody and then sold and then bought. Now it's owned by Citizen. It's a Japanese company, and they've got a lot of dough. And I've seen more and more stuff come out of La Joux-Perret. I would say that they're, at least as far as I can see, they're sort of a very average, a little, maybe a cut above an ETA and a couple cuts below a Vaucheur. That's my view of it. Um, I don't know. It's it's one of those companies that has gone through a lot of different things, and I don't know to what extent that they're dependent on citizen parts or just citizen money. I'm not sure. But La Joux-Perret is one that, see what they used to do that was interesting, and that's why I have a Jacquet 736 collection, is because what they used to do, they take these iboshes, primarily from ETA, and then they'd put them together into um, a working movement of some sort. Sometimes they even made a shape movement in the Jacquet 736. So, I mean, they were doing some interesting things. And then Pierre Jacquet got greedy, and he and some people from Minerva and um, I think some other people anyway, plus some seriously bad criminals. They stole some a whole bunch of gold Rolex cases, and they were going to make phony baloney Rolex watches with those and sell them and make a bunch of money. The people they were involved with were like, you know, real seriously hard guys. They weren't a bunch of misdirected watchmakers, but they were people that were a lot more seriously dangerous than I think they realized. And so finally, they never did get those gold cases back. And don't ask me what I'm doing with a box of gold cases over there, okay? All right. So that's the story of La Joux Pereira. Damon, make an offer for 12 to 13K. What now? Who is that for? Hi, James. Merry Christmas to you too. Um, okay. Now let me say something, Damon Stamos. You're referring to that watch outlet. I've been meaning to write something about that. They have it listed as an automatic. One, it's not an automatic. Two, it's got a really great movement in it. That's a hand wound movement. I have one. I think it's a center second one. Now, the price, though, I think you can probably find one about half that sale price, pre-owned. But still, I was surprised. Not only did they have the movement wrong, but they just seem to. I mean, it's a beautiful watch. It would be a really nice one to have. And I think you're right. I think if you offered even less than that, Damon, you could get it, because you want to start with, what are you guys talking about? You said it's automatic. It's not automatic. All you got to do is go to the pictures that they have on the watch outlet, flip it over. It's not automatic. It doesn't have an invisible rotor in it or anything like that. Um, but it's a great watch. It's a really good watch. 12,000, 10,000, 10,000. I got one brand new for that, and it had been, I think they were 22 or something around that number. Um, but I don't know if anybody someone's asleep at the wheel at Watch Outlet if they're advertising it as an automatic. Okie doke. Yeah, Frank, the sort of interesting. Anordain they're known for making really nice enamel dials. Andrew, you're probably right. Like I said, I'm probably not the guy. There are some people that swear up and down they're not good for your watch. I couldn't say. I think what I'll do. I'm going to ask somebody at Agonar. Ask them what they think. That's a good question. HR, I'm thinking about getting a Boucherer Monero with the perpetual movement. Have seen them sell for under €3,000. That sounds like a good buy. Hi, 911. How are you? Merry Christmas. You're in Winter Park, Florida. We're here on a light snowy day in New England, but yours sounds more Christmassy than ours does. Okay, what else is going on that is sort of a there's sort of a whole trend of things going on that I think is worth talking about. Somebody suggested, why don't we talk about what watches you're planning to get in 2025? Um, I've got two picked out already, but I'm not going to say what they are because I don't want anybody else to get them. That's really piggy of me, I know, but there you have it. Um, I have two picked out. Whether I'll get them or not is a whole other matter. I have probably much more than that. Ones that I think I really want to get. One is from another person, a guy that I know, and he said he'd hold it for me until I could afford it. And the other one is simply takes a long time to build. Oh, plus trying to get my two Lariques back again. Anyway, how you doing, Von Cruel? Peripheral automatic. With the rotor it goes around. Yeah. Yeah, HRM. I like the peripheral. I like that as a winding, automatic winding device. Okay. Um, one of the things that I always think about when I'm buying a watch is what is it about it that does something for the horology? Things like a double barrel and parallel. I like those. But I was thinking out, um, a remontoir egalite, that's another kind of thing. What are some other things that are interesting? Another thing that I was reading about, but it wasn't. I don't think it has to do with constant force. It has to do with exploding and breaking your watch. How many of you are familiar with what's called motor barrel? A motor barrel. There used to be in a lot of train watches. Guys who were, use them for timing on the train, the conductors and stuff. They'd always check their pocket watch, and they put motor barrels in it, and the spring was attached to the side of the barrel rather than the arbor. And the idea was that if it came loose, it somehow wouldn't scramble uh, the wheel train. And I guess if you had something go wrong with the mainspring and it was connected to the arbor in the center, which of course is then the pinion that's going to wind the rest of the watch, that would be something that would be important. Either the pinion or or the uh, the outside gearing on the barrel. Hi, Finnegan again. Hi, Quarters Eye. How you doing? Merry Christmas. I'm wanting to get a vintage Soviet-made Vostok Precision. It's the only chronometer made in the Soviet Union. It's based on a Zenith 135. It has an interesting regulator too. Okay. Yeah, is that the one where they bought the whole factory from? There was back in the early days of the Soviet Union, they bought a whole factory. I think it was from Ohio, and they shipped it out to the Soviet Union. What do I think, Simon? What do I think about the Mont Blanc with the Minerva? I think it's really cool. I like Minerva movements. Now they were sort of set up to be a very special and highly finished movement, and they seem to be. So that's why I like about the Minerva, Simon. A movement suspension system is something that really interests me. A movement suspension system. Like a shock absorber. That is that what you mean, HRM? What re Yeah, I know. I just found that out. What, ABNS 92, what, resonance watch are you getting? I think there are only, like, 3 or 4. Doesn't doesn't Armin Strom have one? Something pure resonance or something like that. Hey, Dominic, Merry Christmas to you. Glad to see you. Hi, Jose. Feliz Navidad to you too. Ball watches have something called the spring lock. It's sort of a cage around the hairspring that prevents it from getting tangled. Ah, that's an interesting thing. I didn't know about that. Von Crew, I was thinking of Armin Strom. Yeah, those things though are still pretty expensive. I like Armin Strom. That would certainly be a watch. Right now, as there's one for about low 7 or mid 6,000 right now, available on Chrono 24. I think it's from a seller in Switzerland. But that would be something I think that would, and it's much better looking in that Gumball Rally one. The Gumball Rally, Armin Strom is sort of like almost like a kid's watch. I don't know. Chris, if you participate in the Gumball Rally, it might be fun. 911, what's up? I'm always hung up on the dial and case as much as the movement. If Minerva made a dial that appealed to me, I'd be very interested in always. You know, um, I I agree with you on not only a dial, but the hands and the readability of it. I have a watch I absolutely love, and that's my Moritz Grossmann, but my God, I mean, like, the dial, the center of the dial is made up of all of the different hands that Moritz Grossmann has, and I'm looking at my watch trying to tell the time sometime. It can sometimes be a challenge, even though the hands on the actual hour and minute hands are very they'd be clear with a nice, like a white or dark, background. Beautiful watch, but yeah, I think, you know, to me, this is, like, pretty simple, not hard to tell time. It's a little cockeyed with the, crown over at, like, 1 o'clock, between 1 and 2 o'clock, but otherwise, works out okay. Oh, man, HRM, they're having a Grand Sonnier. Siegel, I like Siegel. They got they're inexpensive, they work. I used, I think it was a Siegel, and one I made for my grandson, and then on the, regulator, I fixed the regulator, and that thing keep perfect time. It keeps as good as time of any other watch that I have, so yeah, that'd be fun. My hearing is never had my hearing's always been really bad. And so things like that, you might as well I had to put Big Ben in a watch or something to hear the thing. But it's sort of a cool thing to have is a sort of like a minute repeater, I guess, isn't it? Or something like that. I'm fixated on VNE halter low resonance, but it isn't cheap at 285,000. Oh boy. I've just seen the prototype of that. I met, Vianney Halder a couple of years ago, and that's when I had just finished, my own resonance watch with the base that Dominic made for me, Dominic's son made for me, and, I showed it to him. I had a video of it, how it worked and everything, and he watched it as it went into resonance, and he said, "Yeah, yeah." He said, "That's what mine does too." And I thought, "Oh my god, it really worked." So it's his now he's got this resonance set up with one above the other. And that's a little different than mine. I simply modeled after what FP Jorn had done, and I think FP Jorn had modeled his after what um, Abraham Breguet had done. I think, anyway. Yeah. Um, yeah, I can redial it, but I like, it's sort of, I don't know. I guess I could redial it. I don't know what I'd have to go to a Moritz Grossmann watchmaker and say, "Hey, would you put a new dial on here for me?" The next time I see Christine Hutter, I'll tell her about that. Say, "Look, I love this watch. The hands, I really like the hands. They have this really nice green loom on it, or whatever it is. It's not loom, but it's another glow in the dark thing. But that's an idea." Von Crew, you're right. I love Moritz Grossmann. The new 37 millimeters with Arabic numbers would be perfect for me. Smoko, if you like Arabic number, well, um, th- there are Arabic numbers, and then there are two types of Arabic numbers, aren't there? There's one that's sort of like a Indian Indian Arabic, and then the other one is a one like this kind of Arabic numbers. Uh, but there's a Armin Strom with, I guess, Eastern Arabic or whatever they're called. Those numbers on it is been for sale for quite a while. Yeah, Von Cool, I'm with you on that. Chapek, that's another one. Chapek. Who are they doing their movements with? I think they have a who is that guy? The guy that Francois Mojan's company is called, starts with a C. I can't remember the name of it. But I think they use his watches, his movements. And I was thinking of trying to do something with that one too, with that movement. I have a hovering 2 with similar Arabic brigade numerals. The watch was just finished by Richard this past week, and I get it in January. We'll check out the Armin Strom as well. Thanks. Smoko, it's like I said, it's sort of like an Arabic as opposed to to this Arabic. Do you like the JLC duometry design? I love it. The duometry is just brilliant, really brilliant horology in that JLC duometry. Yeah. They have, 2 main barrels and 2 yeah, they're really an amazing watch. That would be one that if I found one, in the wild that was affordable, that would be one I wouldn't mind having at all. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Finnegan. Chrono, that's who I was thinking of at 9/11, thank you. I've been thinking about, Chopard, And then you got Crenode, and then you have a bunch of other C ones. Oh. Hi, John D. How you doing? Just getting here. Good morning to you too. What's on the wrist? I've got my Besseron Constantin Easter American 1921. God, I tell you, why don't they just call it? I just call it my 21. Oh, I studied Arabic in college. Arabic numerals would be cool. Okay, so I guess there's Arabic numbers and Arabic numerals, and numerals like Roman numerals. That's a good way to. I wish I had Spanish in college, and I am really terrible at foreign languages. I love foreign languages, and I really admire people who can speak it. I'm getting better at writing French, so thanks to my French translators. But boy, pronouncing it well is that, I'll say something in French that I think is French, and so a French speaker will, I might as well say, abracadabra. I mean, for all they'll understand of my, because I can't hear it right, and so I can't pronounce it right. But I really like every foreign language. I like to speak Chinese and Arabic and Hindi and everything, German. There's so much fun. Have you heard of the Benris Ultra Thin 20G? I have not. Looks super interesting. No, I haven't heard about that. John D. Love the VC21. Yeah, this watch is I it's just one of those watches in my collection that I there's a certain kind of, with any watch collection, certain watches you put on and they're like an old friend. Either because they feel a certain way or you've had them a long time. My FP Journe Chronomet Souvain feels the same way. I was wearing my Urban Jurgensen yesterday. That feels the same way. So I have a lot of, and my Larique watches too. So I have certain watches that are sort of that way. Another one is, I still can't figure it out, is my Fabergé Alexi. I'm still trying to work out why I like that watch so much. Who knows? Hey, Clark, how you doing? Watch, it's Brian. Okay, Brian, what's up? Ooh, Damon, I put a deposit down on a Streller Cerna, but I'd be lucky if it only takes a year to get. I hope so. I hope you get it pretty soon. I understand they're doing some more on that too. Smoke. I had to escape Oklahoma. Uh-oh. Was Rancher and his buddies holding you hostage there? Oh, I studied language to join the Peace Corps. What a cool thing to do. Oh, man. Lately, I've been wanting this Mont Blanc Nicholas Risso. Oh, yeah, Risso. That thing's a really nice watch. That's a really very nice watch. Price is right too. Hey, Chuck, the Glashütte original CQ panorama date has a silicone. Yeah, I know. They've done that to a lot. And a Swan's neck regulator, just for adjusting the beach here. Oh, well, that's good news. I'm glad to hear that, Chuck. So you can adjust the beat still. Good to hear. And with a swan neck regulator, how cool. That I like a lot. Now, Glashütte Original has that pano inverse that has both of them, one for the beat and one for the frequency. And that one, they didn't put the silicon hairspring in. Not to get off on silicon hairsprings. I think we've heard enough about that. But this is one thing I would really like to see watchmakers do. like Swatch, if you've got a watch like the Brigade tradition, just, put in a regular hairspring, okay? Put in one made of transitional metal because that watch is such a cool watch. But it's, putting silicone in is like, putting an Indy 500 into a Model T or something. That would be nice. I'm really happy to hear that the CQ has a swan neck for adjusting the beat. That is a very cool thing. The Binrus is ultra thin manual wind watch. Weighs only 20 grams. It has an asymmetric case and fully over. HRM, I saw that Binrus. I saw something for it. I didn't pay much attention to it. I'll take a look at it a little closer. I'm patiently waiting for Tudor to bring out a mainstream version of their only watch, gold version, of a new chronograph with Kanisi movements. The Kanisi movement, they're putting a silicon in those too, if that matters to you. Yay, Tim, how you doing? Happy Christmas to you. It's 5:00 somewhere, Tim. Hi, John D. Let's see. Allie, hello, how you doing? I'm glad you made it. Swan neck for beat era. Yeah, that's what I thought too. The usually on a beat era is a tricky thing to adjust. I think usually where you have you have these two nibs on your regulator, and one is above the other, and you adjust the top one for your frequency, and I think you adjust the bottom one for the beat. And I was told, don't touch the bottom one. Well, I don't know. They're more like this. They're not together, but one sort of fact they can even be at right angles with each other. Oh, good. I'm glad you're here. Well, cool. My usual procedure for adjusting rate and beat era without any fine adjustment making too far one way and too. Yeah, that's what I do too. You shove it one way and shove it the other. One thing I really should spend more time with, and I think I will, is adjusting the beat. I just worry about the frequency, and I spend all my time adjusting the frequency, but I got to start adjusting the beat on that. Oh, they do? Hmm. Smoko, I got to find out more about that. That is interesting. I know that it's really interesting that a lot of, I think it's Sen watches, is that they'll have their watches made of submarine metal. I mean, what they do, they take a hunk off the side of a sub and meld it down. I'm not sure, but that is sort of, I always got a kick out of that. Does anybody have one made out of submarine steel? I, it's like, you can really, then you can jump in your pool and not have to worry about it. By the way, too, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but in a video I had a week or so ago, I had mentioned PETA Barcelona. And since then, what I've heard is that they've been out of business for about 2 years. And the older, the guy doing most of the watchmaking, PETA, is really getting old. When I hear these people are really getting old, then I find out they're younger than I am. So how old are they? But then he worked with this other guy who was sort of like a younger assistant or something like that. But anyway, they sort of faded away along with some deposits as well. So some people put a deposit down on a Pita Barcelona and didn't get the watch and didn't get their money back when they faded. So anyway, I thought I'd mention that, not to beat up on PETA, but rather to say, hey, if you want one of those watches, better take a look at the pre-owned market because those guys are in the wind right now. Ah, Von Cruel. I gotta find out more about that Von Cruel. I've been madly trying to get on my secondhand back on this watch I've been working on. Jeez. Hey, check Von Cruel. Let's see. Like plugging in a sub wrong and question. Okay, Ali's got a question. I want to get a Horological Society of New York membership. Which one should I get? Bronze, silver, or gold? I got the $100 one. I think we get you know, we get used steel or something. I don't know. I just got the regular, for $100. They took my credit card and just keep charging me every year, but they have all of these really fantastic things. Let's see. Someone posted on Watch Pro site asking why the free spring balance uh, has a swan neck, and the responders explain the beat era, making each swing of the balance equal. Lang has the same setup on the same entry, I think. Free sprung, but with swan neck too. Steve, I think silicon hairspring, similarly to an ETA movement, it just doesn't disqualify the watch, but is consideration for the price. I know they've been charging more for them, but I don't. That's so they can get a almost automatic COSC. Andrew, any update on the Larique NYT article? Yes. I talked to the reporter who interviewed me, and it's going to be, he said that it was really funny. He said it'll be the 10th or the 20th. I'm not sure of January. So he said he'd let me know when it's out. I will tell you, tell everybody. And I'll tell people who don't want to know. I'll be walking down the street and I'll go up to someone. By the way, did you hear? Hey, John. No, I'm not anti-silicon. Okay, there's a difference between being anti-silicon. It's just something I don't want in my watches. So I'm not in my hairsprings anyway. So I'm not anti-silicon. If somebody wants them, knock themselves out. Which manufacturer do you think is making the best under the radar highly finished movement? Highly finished movement? You know, um, I tell you what, if you want to find out some really highly finished, really fantastic movements, just go to the AHCI membership and take a look at their watches, and that's all you'll see are really interesting watches, and really done well. By the way, too, a hairspring maker I found out about, I had known about it, but I wasn't sure that much about them. And I found out this really tip-top watchmaker is using Carl Haas, hairsprings. I'll tell you who else is using them. So is, Richard Harbring in Harbring 2s. My hunch would be, I'll bet, that, Stepan, Kadoki is also using them. Now, the Strawman hairspring, I know that MB&F is using it, Agenor is using it, Kari Voutilainen is using it. That's not very many for the number they're selling. They're selling like 50, 60,000 a year, and none of those 3 make that many watches. So somebody else is buying a whole load of those things and using them. I just don't know who it is. But I gotta tell you, I've got nothing but good things to say about my experience with the, Harbring 2 and the hairspring on that thing. That watch was just accurate for years and years and years. Goldfinger, Reezy, is there any watch meetup with you? A watch meetup? I tell you, I it's funny, Oklahoma is a great big state, uh, land-wise, but, they probably have a very similar, population to Connecticut, and Connecticut is relatively compact. I think next to, Rhode Island, Connecticut's probably the smallest state in the continental US, and, I don't know, we don't have meetups. I think I know some guys go to the Red Bar in New York, or they go to meetings that the, Horological Society has. It depends. If you live down toward, where actually, Connecticut has a panhandle. It actually looks like a panhandle down by the New York border, in Stamford, and there it's just like a real quick ride on Metro North from Stamford into, New York City, or that whole Fairfield, that whole area down there, and I think they go to those meetings. Now, there may be some other meetings that I don't know about. I've been invited to a Red Bar meeting, and I would really like to go, but to go to New York for an evening, meeting and then back to where I am in Connecticut, because I live almost up by the, Massachusetts border, is, it's either stay overnight in, New York, and that's not cheap, or with our daughter out in Queens, but she's busy, I don't know. But, it's always a good idea to have sort of a meetup group, because I get the one in Oklahoma, these guys, they come from all over the place, and they have these wonderful meetups. So, I don't know why we don't have one in Connecticut. Who knows? Let's see. Yeah. Chuck, let's see. Gifted myself a Brigade 5817 in rose gold, Anklesheen Weddy for it. That'll be a nice one. Ron Cruel. Okay. Zachary. Hi, Zachary. What do you think of the Gronfeld Self 1 compared to the Dumoret DMO2? Okay, this may sound funny, okay, but quite frankly, I like the design of the Dumoret 2 better. I'm trying to think, I forgot what movement that the Dumoret has. Um, the Gronfeld has a Salida 210, I think, in it. It's a self-winding. It's a little bitty movement. I know a lot about that movement because I took one apart and couldn't get it back together, and I was told, those things, the parts on those things are so small, but I've talked to some people who have a Groenfeld, Grown or whatever they call that watch, and they really like them. They're very happy with them. So I've also heard the same thing from Dumoret. I just happen to like the design on the Dumoret better. The one I don't know. Groenfeld has what is big attraction to me, and that's fantastic movements. And so that I've never been crazy about their designs. But their movements are really something. But then the one this one does is, you know, the one for it looks sort of like a Groenfeld watch. But and if somebody saw a Dumoret and a Groenfeld next to each other and they didn't know anything about watches, I'll bet most of them would want the Dumoret just for the look. They're well made too. I like those, but neither here nor there. I'm, uh, I'll tell you what. So this sounds really weird, and everything that I'm not crazy about in watchmaking, but there is this one watch I keep thinking about, and it's is phony as a $3 bill. In this sense, is that the what Swatch has done with the blank pawn 50 Fathoms, a little blue one made out of plastic or something, with a Systems 51 movement in it. That's the sealed movement that it is untouched by hands. And so they put those things in there, and it's sort of like put them in there, forget about them, because they're not going to be adjusted. They can't. I don't know. I think they're held together with some kind of polyester glue or something. And they have one screw that I don't know what that screw does that holds them together or something. But I like that watch. I don't know why. I mean, it's sort of fun for a sports watch. Um, but $400, I figure, that's another thing I wanted to say. $400, if I go out and I'm thinking of buying a Christmas present for someone for $400 other than a watch, I think, wow, that's a lot for a Christmas present. There are a lot of places you can go and sort of you're going to spend $400. They're going to take you to the luxury part of the store. But for a watch, well, there's a cheap one. I know if it's only $400. Sort of an interesting mindset. A friend of mine, Fernando, he and I talk about that a lot. He found something really like his. God, it's only $3,000. I'm thinking, $3,000. That takes me a long time to get anything other than a watch at $3,000. That's so weird. Okay, let's see what you got here. 3,000 for a LUC is a great price. Oh, we may be up there. I'm deciding between an LUC Chopard 1937 silver dial three-hander and a Glasuti original Senator. Both are priced at $300. I'd probably go with the Chopard. I like both of those watches, but I like the Chopard a little better, I think. You should start a watch meetup group in Connecticut. I'm sure many people would come. I don't, I yeah, I guess. I'm not sure though. It's like the Hartford area is really funny. Hartford is the capital of the state, but the city itself isn't very big, and it's sort of a funny place. It's about, I think it's under 100,000. But the SMSA is like 1.2 million. So you got all these rich little towns around around the city of Hartford. Some of them are like seriously rich. and not mine, but not my town. My town is for regular guys. Uh, but I don't know, I just sort of, yeah, it's worth a try. Um, I had thought about that. Anyway, I've just ordered an ARY loop from Cousin. They're supposed to be great, for using with glasses. Really, I got one I did. I had whenever I go to the eye doctor and I get a new prescription, I keep my old glasses. And what I did is that I kept my old ones, and I have this one on here, and it's a really good grip for glasses and so forth. I wanted it on a left eye instead of the right eye. I'm left-handed, and so I think everything is on the left side. So I had it put on the left side. Took them a year to get this this one. I think I'll take a look at Cousins for one. I've been trying to put on my I tell you what to get. This would really be a nice thing to have. I I watch these different, online watchmaker shows, and there's this one guy, who's sort of interesting. He's sort of, very rough, not a guy you'd think of as being a really good watchmaker. I mean, the imagery doesn't fit, but he's really interesting and really good. And he said that if you're even for anything, is to get a microscope. There's a special microscope you can get to work with watchmaking. And man, I tell you, he said that makes things so much better. And then he went in and he talked about the one to get. It's more expensive than a loop, but that's something if you really enjoy playing with these things and you can't get the second hand on, maybe that would be the way to go. Hi, Frog. Oh, you're in Connecticut too. Oh, well, maybe we could try. Maybe what we could do in Connecticut, set up a daytime, meetup somewhere where nobody had to drive too far. Of course, in Connecticut, I think if you drive an hour, in any direction, you're either in another state, you're either in New York or Massachusetts or Rhode Island, or you're in the Atlantic Ocean. You know, that's why I'm so impressed by the Oklahoma group. That place is spread out, and but I get these invitations to the thing. I'd love to go someday. Maybe I will. But they have all of these people get together. It'd be fun. Any opinion on the IWC Portuguese or self-winding? Stephen, I don't trust IWC in a Portuguese. Before I knew what I know, I thought the IWC Portuguese would be one of the most wonderful watches to have. But then I found out some of them were ETA, some of them were in-house, some of them this, some of them that. And I've never really trusted IWC since then. The same thing with oh well, Tag Heuer. I don't diss Tag. I you sort of know what they're gonna be using. So that's what I think about them. I'm sorry, but this is, don't listen to my prejudices. I mean that, get your own. Everybody should have their own personal prejudices about watches. We need to convince Farve Luba manufacture another cheap movement with dual mainsprings. Hey, I've got 3 of those. One of them I broke already. I'll try to fix it too. But that is the Farve Luba, what's it called? Double something or other, double springs or double something. They've got 2 barrels in parallel. Such a good one. The other company, I mean, beside FP Journe's Chronomet Sylvain that has that is Who trying to think of the name of the company. Schwartz 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 Etende, ETN, Schwartz ETN. Schwartz ETN is another one of those really, really good watches that gets overlooked all the time. Um, they for a while you could get one with, and they have these two in the base. You have the base of the movement, and then you have these sort of setup. You got a sort of a hole here, not a hole, but sort of a like a round holder the size of a barrel. I mean, you put the barrel in there and that'll fit. And then you have another one for the micro rotor. Okay, so you have these, or you can get a second barrel and they're in parallel. I get the second barrel in parallel. That's another thing too. Among the many prejudices I have, one of my favorite watches has a micro rotor, but I don't like them. I'm not a fan of micro rotors. Um, who was it that set up a micro rotor with the dancer on the inside? Now that's impressive. Uh, that may have been somebody like Bernhard Letter, or it wasn't him, it was somebody else. But man, really some interesting talent. If you Google Dennis Loop, you can find, oh, HRM, you're absolutely right. In fact, my dentist gave me the name of the company. She had these, the ones on that look like your people who give appendix transplants and things like that. They put on all of those fancy doctor glasses. She uses them too. And those are really great. You're right; those are great ones. Hey, listen, Stephen, that's just my opinion. Believe me, this is what I think the most important thing to do is learn as much as possible as you can about watchmaking and watches, and then make a decision based on that, not what some pundit says, including me, or especially me. A lunch in Greenwich. Ooh, Michael, that would be nice. That would not be a bad idea. Who is that? Breckenridge? Is that the name of the? There's a watch store there. There's another one I am now boycotting because they did in a friend of mine. I won't have anything to do with them. Hi, Wahads. Wahads. What a cool name. Merry Christmas to you too. The balance wheel has to be smaller with micro rotors. Yeah, that's, you know, the same is true in dual barrels in parallel. You got to have a smaller balance wheel, and that's something. So I can't have the best of both worlds. I think the best of both worlds would be a nice big balance wheel with a lot of inertia, so you're not going to screw it up very easily, and single barrel. Yeah, I think you can't have everything. Maybe two smaller barrels in parallel with a nice big balance wheel. S. Einhorn, just my opinion. I like that watch, but I was so disappointed in their new in-house movement. Some of the times an in-house movement is nowhere near as good as a good independent movement maker like Vaucher or Crenode or Agonor. You have one of those movements in any one of those companies, and you're going to have a special movement. Whereas some of the in-house ones, one of the ones I've wondered about is Orage. I don't know the quality of their in-house movement. So I mean, I'm not saying there's bad. I just looking at it, I wasn't impressed by it, but that doesn't mean it's not a good movement. Hi, Belinda. Merry Christmas to you and everyone. HRM Cigar. Wait, the Dusseldorf Watch Show has a cigar and whiskey lounge. Very cool. Yeah, the Watch Time show has open bars, and I tell you, of course, the idea is that we'll give these guys all they want to drink and hope they make bad decisions, bad financial decisions, and buy watches. Yeah, exactly, Von Cruel. That's why I like the lower frequency and the larger. Have you ever seen that Dufour's, that big balance wheel on a Dufour Simplicity? Hang on a second. Let me pull one up and show you what I'm talking about. Ah, rats. I got a bad picture of one. Hang on, let me get a better picture. Um, hold the phone. I got to show you it's exactly why I like a lower frequency and a bigger balance wheel. I'll tell you about the downside of a big balance wheel in a second, but first, let me see. Oh.
Are you still on, honey?
Okay, I got it. I'm live. I can see. You guys, you got to meet my wife.
Sorry.
He ran away and closed the door. Oh boy, hang on a second. Now I can bring up. I gotta. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, right. He's a sweetheart, bossy. Anyway, Eric just bought an LUC Heritage Grand Cru. Wow, those are nice. Wanted a cushion case with a case shape. Wow, that is nice. You should have a segment. I should. Thanks, guys. She's really a gem. Okay, let me show you why this is exactly why I like. This is an 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour, or 2.5 hertz. Beautiful watch, Philippe Dufour Simplicity. And okay, I better turn it off now because the thing is gonna gobble up all of my get up everything. Anyway, that's why I like it. The stream froze. Yeah, it probably did. I had a thing too big. It was a very big picture that I got because I wanted to show everybody what it looked like. I'll tone it down so I can show it to everyone. Anyway, I'm back at it again. Well, listen, I better get going. I do have family, and it is Christmas Eve. I don't want to get in too much trouble. But I was quiet for a while. My wife, aha. So anyway, guys, well, listen, I'll be back on Friday with a recorded one. But that's it for today. Hey, Tuna, thanks. Have a great Christmas tomorrow for those of you who celebrate it. Those who don't, have a great day anyway. Take care.